warm welcome, and please give me a hand in giving a warm welcome to our first team, Pocket Planet, who are going to be showing us how to build a tiny terrarium.
Hello everyone, it's great to see you all. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to be doing a Pocket Planet activity, which a Pocket Planet is a little terrarium filled with your own bits of what you would see in nature. So you've got all your layers in there, what you would see under the ground, and then your nice little decorative bits on top, like you'd have your own little garden. And this is really nice because it means, you might not have an outdoor space to do some gardening, but you can still, bring a little bit of that nature indoors for you to enjoy. And they're quite cute, if I do say so myself. We do have some volunteers coming today. So if we could welcome up Jess and Tom to the stage. And what these two lovely people are going to be doing for your viewing pleasure is making terrariums within the time limit of this little show. Ty, if you'd like to give the volunteers a chance to introduce themselves.
I'm Tom. I think I would like my Pocket Planet to, have a bit of a focus on rocks. I really like rock stacking, so I reckon that's going to be a theme.
I'm Jess. We've got a lot of stuff here. I'm quite excited to kind of see how it ends up looking without giving it any particular direction and just seeing what happens.
Great, so we've got two tables set up. Jess, I think you said you wanted the stage. So Tom, if you would like to take this station down there. And then I will be guiding you guys through the first stages of building your terrarium. So anybody watching from home as well, you can follow along with this with your own materials. We've got some jars just from home, so, the kind of things that you would get your sauces in and stuff like that, just cleaned, labels taken off, nice bit of paint on the lids as well to make them look pretty. So if you guys want to get your jars ready, and you should find some coarse gravel, like the one I've got at the bottom here on your tables. So that's the first bit that you want to put in. A couple of spoonfuls just to fill the bottom, and that's going to be for the drainage.
So, Deanna, I've got a quick question for you. As they're doing this and putting in their gravel, what are some of the things that you need to consider when you're building a terrarium? Can you just chuck some soil and some plants in, or does it need to be a bit more methodical than that?
Yeah, so the plants are probably the most difficult bit because you want something that doesn't grow really, really fast. Because if it grows fast and you've got a tiny jar, that's going to need repotting really, really quickly. I'm sure everyone has a plant at home where the roots are all bursting out the bottom of the pot. That's not what you want when you've got something in a jar. So what we've got today is some succulents because they're slow growing. And we have cuttings of succulents, which are a lot cheaper. And once you put them in the soil and add water, they'll shoot their own roots and then grow slowly. So they're quite a good plant to use. You guys good for the gravel? Cool. So the next layer, we've got some moss, which you can add a little bit of that. You don't want too much, just a very small amount, because that's going to go under the soil, and that's going to stop all the soil from falling through the gravelly layer at the bottom and interfering with the drainage.
Oh, that looks lovely. Is this a special kind of moss, or can you use any kind of moss that you've got from your garden?
So yeah, if you've got moss in your garden, you can use that. This is actually reindeer moss that we've got. It's nice because it has a really spongy texture. I'm sure if you can see it up close at all, you'll see that it's like really bouncy and airy, so that works really well.
How are you feeling, Tom? How are you feeling about how it's going so far?
I'm confident.
Love it. Okay, what's the next step?
So the next step is your soil. Obviously, this is a key component because this is what's going to give your plant its nutrients and its place to put its roots in. It's going to hold a lot of the moisture as well. And then for this, you want a couple of centimetres at least so that your plant has space to actually go into it. But if you want to add a little bit more just for how it looks, because you'll start to see now with them, you're actually getting those nice layers that you can see from the outside of the jar. And at this point as well, if you've got a little bit of water, you might want to add a little bit of that just to weigh down the soil and the moss so it all kind of starts to compact together.
Out of curiosity.
Obviously, you've got your spoons and tweezers as well to give it a little bit of a squidge down.
Perfect. Sorry about that. I just wanted to ask, has anyone in the audience got a terrarium at home already? Is anyone a terrarium owner? No. Okay. I want to see, if you go home and make a terrarium after today, we would love to see your creations. So if you do go home and end up making one, please do tweet us a picture to the Festival of Nature Twitter account, and we would love to see what you end up making.
So this bit, once you've got your soil all in, is where you can kind of take a bit more creativity with it. You'll notice that you have a selection here of the 2 different types of gravel. We've got some sand as well, and those you can use to make the layers on top of your soil. And you can kind of add those however you think will look nice. You can leave them out completely if you want to. You can add a tiny bit of gravel. You can do some different layers of different gravels and kind of just make it how you want it to look. And then after that, you're going to be adding your plants, maybe a little bit more moss, some sticks and rocks. This is the bit where you get to really make your terrarium your own.
You've got a very methodical, careful approach to this. Have you done this before?
No. I'm glad you're saying that because I really feel like I'm just throwing it in. So I'm glad it looks like it.
Yeah, it's looking beautiful. Looks lovely. I think it's one of those things where it's easy to make it look lovely as well.
Yeah, definitely.
I think after both groups have done making their terrariums, I think we should have a vote on who's made the best one. So I'm going to add in a little competitive spirit. I think we should have a vote. Yeah, the pressure's on. Have you had a think about which plants you would like to add as well?
Yeah, I think. Did you say that more moss is fine? I think
Yeah, you can add some more moss. If you're adding more moss and any of the bigger rocks, any little plants that you're adding might want to go in first just so that you can get them into position and actually poke them into the soil with the tweezers. Spoon handle's always a good tactic.
And how big can these get? Like, is it something you can only make in a glass jar this size, or can they get literally massive as well if you wanted to?
So yeah, some people make really big ones. I've seen one before where someone had one of those really, really big jars that people use for alcohol brewing, and they actually made it into a closed system. So the water that they put in it would evaporate and condensate on the top of the jar. So if you're choosing to do this with a lid on yours and making quite a wet terrarium, you can do the same. And the evaporation then all comes back down and continues to water the plants. You don't really have to do much with it. It all self-sustain, and you only have to do like the minimal bit of maintenance on it, like once a year kind of thing.
Yeah, that sounds ideal. Hands up, has anyone got any really sad-looking houseplants in their home at the moment? Yeah, most of us. I feel like this is a great lazy situation for someone like me who just keeps killing houseplants for some reason. I cannot keep them happy. I don't know why. Oh, looking very artsy here. Can you talk us through your artistic vision? What have you got going on?
I know I said about rocks, but I feel like I've not left myself enough room to get a big rock in there now. And I'm a little bit upset about that, but I'm quite happy with the way it's turned out. So, you know, all's well that ends well and all that.
And are you a geologist? Are you hoping to work in geology? Is that where the love of rocks comes from?
Not quite, but maybe this is a new hobby that I'll take up.
Great job on stage as well, looking very nice.
Great, so whilst we give everyone a couple of minutes to finish up their terrariums, I'd like to welcome Isabella up to the stage, and she's just going to give you a little bit of background information about terrariums and where they first came from.
Yeah, I gotta say, I love the precision in your terrarium, Tom. He's got this beautifully stacked pile of rocks, which is just ever so precipitously stacked, and it just looks like it could fall over, but it has this lovely balance. It's reflecting the serenity inside of you, obviously.
Well, terrariums were actually invented by accident in 1829 by a British doctor called Nathan Bradshaw. He popped a moth cocoon, fern leaves and moist soil into a sealed glass bottle, and he left it untouched for 3 years. He noticed that condensation had started to form on the glass and would drip back down to the soil while sunlight shone through the glass. He was amazed to discover that the plant thrived in this mini environment. So for 3 years without being watered, it blossomed. From this, he created an early terrarium called the Warden case. paving the way for successful transportation of like live plants across the globe.
How are you feeling? Are you ready? You ready to show off your work of art?
I'm not that confident, but at this point, every time I touch it, something falls. So I'm putting it forward.
So we've got chaos versus serenity. That's what I'm calling them. Do you want to come up to the stage and let's have a look at them up close? Okay, let's start with Tom. Do you want to just talk us through what you enjoyed about that and what you would change if you had to do it again?
I enjoyed that way more than I had any right to. I think that it's just, it's a really nice way of, it's like when you see people who build ships inside of bottles, but with a lot less fine control needed. So it's kind of a little bit more gestural, and I enjoyed that a lot. I don't know if I'd do anything different, to be honest. I'd like to do it again, but I'd like to keep that one as is.
Amazing. Please give Tom a massive round of applause.
I'd probably do quite a lot different. But it was really, really fun. Yeah, I kind of went in heavy with the like rocks and stuff, so I'm worried that there isn't enough plant touching soil kind of thing, and I kind of squished everything together, but you know, it's all looks very full.
Well, I think I said we were going to have a vote, but I think you guys deserve equal credit because they both look amazing. So come on, give these guys a massive round of applause. I can't believe it's their first time. They look beautiful. Thank you so much to Isabella and Diana for teaching us how to do this. So for the people at home that want to go home and do this, what do they need? Can you give us a quick recap of what they'll need to put together one at home?
So you'll need yourself a nice container, whether that's a recycled container from something you've eaten last night, or if you actually go out and buy yourself like a nice candle holder to use. You also need a coarse gravel for the first layer. The moss is optional, but it really helps keep the soil from falling through that. The next layer is then the soil, of course, really, really important for the plants that you're using. And then on top of that, you can go straight in with the plants and the rocks and the sticks that you might want to use. You can add any kind of moss at that point as well, or if you have different types of gravel. The gravels we used here are actually meant for aquariums. That's a really good way to get really nice decorative gravel at a really affordable price, and different grades of it as well, because the different sizes of gravel really make for good layers, like when you're building those sand pictures that you see on holiday. And that's it. Thank you.